From the post-millennial, RFK Jr. to eliminate artificial dyes in food and medicines by 2026. So this is funny because West Virginia tried pushing it to 2028. They passed a ban in the state saying by 2028, no more artificial dyes. It's a 3-year lead time. RFK just steps and goes, no, actually just 1 year. Get it done now, everyone. And I am 100% for it. So RFK Jr. and FDA Commissioner Marty McCary announced Tuesday that petroleum-based synthetic dyes will be eliminated from medications and the nation's food supply by the end of 2026, about a year and a half. This includes those found in candy, soft drinks, desserts, breakfast cereals, and jams. The agency said it would set a standard and deadline for the industry to transition to natural alternatives and take action to remove remaining colors from the market. The FDA intends to revoke authorization for dyes that are not in production within the coming weeks.
Nice.
Epic. Sorry, Michael Malice. You know, we were talking to Michael about it, and he's like, why should they do this? I want my petroleum dyes. I'm like, well, our exertion of power has exceeded yours. So now we get to ban artificial food dyes.
I noticed on the list of dyes that they're banning is yellow dye number 5, which if you're a diehard fan, you remember the cop said that was one of the ingredients in the Twinkies that he was eating.
Great movie. Absolutely great movie.
But I'm totally on board with this.
Same.
I've got a lot of libertarian tendencies, but this is one that's long overdue. We've got so much garbage in our food supply. And related, the federal government is in charge of the nutritional dietary guidelines, and those guidelines dictate what our kids eat in schools. Mm-hmm. And that is a political process. That is not a scientific process where they decide what's good or bad. Potatoes are okay because the Idaho senator said they're okay. And, and they go through all the lists. Like, it's a corrupt process. And years and years and years and years of that corruption led to all this garbage in our food.
Yep. That's the libertarian challenge is they say people can buy what they want to buy. And I'm like, look, man, if a guy walks up to someone and says, buy this smoothie, but it's turpentine and they die, what does our society do? Well, libertarians would largely argue like, well, you killed him. And it's like, okay, what if he puts only a little bit of turpentine in it? Now they're only going to slowly die. No, you're still, okay, where's the line? Mm-hmm. Right? These petroleum-based chemicals are reportedly connected to a whole bunch of chronic illnesses. And that's causing us serious problems. In fact, RFK Jr. said it's putting us in the poorhouse. It's costing us around $1.6 billion. I think it's a billion per year, or was it more?
Yeah, something like that.
In medical costs. Yeah, he says ADHD, obesity, diabetes, insulin resistance, cancer, genomic disruption, GI issues, and allergic reactions. Petroleum-based dyes are used to color food and medical products, we know, and I'm for it. Get them out. Get them out. Let's eat real food for once.
When we talked to RFK at the Libertarian National Convention, the question that I had for him was about mandatory spending and about the unfunded liabilities. And his answer was, well, we're going to fix the food. And at the time I was like, I don't know if that's going to fix the problem. There's a whole lot of stuff. But at the same time, there is value to the idea that if our major food producers are making things that actually make us sick. And there's no question that there's a massive increase in, early onset diabetes. There's a massive increase in obesity. Now, it's not just the food that we eat, but because people have a much more sedentary lifestyle now. But if there are things in the food that we eat that are making us sick, I think that it's okay if the government says, hey, get those things out. And if it helps lower the cost of health care for people when they become older, then hey, that's a good thing.
And this is my conspiracy theorist hat on, but I also think it's realist, is that think of the turtles all the way down here, which is the FDA is contemplating whether, and I'm talking years ago, is contemplating whether yellow dye number 5 makes sense. Mm-hmm. Well, we cannot approve yellow dye number 5 without scientific evidence. The food industry gets a bunch of scientists together, writes a paper, says yellow dye number 5 is just fine, and then it gets approved. And then do they get legal immunity protection because the FDA? So then they're not even legally liable for it if you get sick. There's no funding for scientific studies to question whether it's bad. So the libertarian argument is almost on our side here, which is that the government's tentacles are so deep into this that getting them out of it is the correct move here.
You know what? I realized something because I was scrolling through Instagram, as I often do, and there was a clip from The Founder. And it was where Michael Keaton playing Ray Kroc, he orders food at the drive-thru, and then they bring it to him, and he's like, I ordered barbecue beef. Then it shows him walking up to the very first McDonald's, and he says, I'll take a hamburger. And they hand it to him, and he goes, what's this? And they're like, your food. And he says, no, I just ordered. And they're like, and it's here. And he was shocked. What I realized is fast food doesn't exist anymore. What we have now are chemically processed garbage factories. The first McDonald's, they were grilling real burgers. Mm-hmm. And when you walked up, it was actually a real restaurant quality burger, but they just made it very quickly because they were doing an assembly line. Now McDonald's has turned into processed sludge that doesn't decay. All of them are. I don't even know what Taco Bell is. It's delicious, by the way.
It is.
And so the idea that there are diners and there's fast food, when you watching that movie, there were diners. He would like a drive-in or a diner, and it took 20 minutes. And then there was the fast food revolution, which he discovers with McDonald's, where he was like, "This is the best burger I've ever had." I got to tell you, McDonald's burgers and fries are disgusting. And, I know a lot of people might like, I like them. Yeah, but you'd like a smash burger from, like if you go to a higher end casual dining place where they got a $15 smash burger with real ingredients, I know you like that more. That's how it kind of used to be. So we just don't have fast food anymore. I guess Chipotle maybe.
We were talking about this on the way here.
Well, just think about McDonald's. Is they used to fry their French fries in tallow, but then the federal government comes in with Title I subsidies for corn, which makes the seed oils and makes it ridiculously cheap. So if you're McDonald's, why would you not swap out tallow for vegetable oil and save money on the bottom line? So it's just the government inserting their tentacles again to make us sick.
With our own money.
With our own money.
But we were talking about on the way here, you asked me what's the best barbecue restaurant in Charleston. Charleston, South Carolina is where I'm at, and famous for good food. And I mentioned Lewis Barbecue, and it's so good that they fry their French fries in the drippings of the brisket.
Nice.
They collect that. And
That's real food.
That's real food. Exactly. Yeah.
That's extremely good. Look, I'm personally still a fan of McDonald's fries. I think that's the only thing that, like on their after the breakfast they stop serving breakfast. I think the only thing worth going to McDonald's for anymore is the fries. And I won't go make a special trip to McDonald's for the fries. But yeah, the idea that they should have the government tell them what they must, what actual food products they must use. I'm not so sure that that's actually the proper course of action.
We need to figure out a way to have a counter that tells you how long you're going to live, and when you go run a mile, it doesn't drop down. And when you eat a French fry from McDonald's, does it drop a day?
Look,
wait.
Go to the gym.
What does Taco Bell do?
I got to
Go
tell
the
you,
gym.
I bought this
Go to the
watch.
gym.
I bought this watch, and when I go to sleep, it tracks my health metrics. And I also have this bed, the Sleep 8 bed. It's amazing, by the way. They didn't sponsor us, but I would love it if they did. It's a bed where you put like water in this thing, and it can cool and heat your bed. Yeah. But it also tracks your sleep. Have a single beer. 1.
Yeah.
Go to sleep. Wake up in the morning and check your health stats, and it says you're dying. And it's crazy. No joke. I go out to eat with my wife, and I'm like, I'll get a single glass of red wine because they say red wine's not bad. I go to bed. I wake up, and it's like recovery is 20%, sleep score is 37, your breath rate was bad, and it says you may be getting sick, something is wrong, or you're drinking alcohol. And I'm like, wow. I was just like, none.
I've got the Oura Ring, and the very first app I open up in the morning is to check my sleep score. And the one thing that I care about most is how much time I spend in deep sleep. Because when you're in deep sleep, that's when your body scrapes all the plaque in your brain and gets rid of it so you don't get Alzheimer's and all dementia and diabetes and stuff like that. And you're exactly right. You have one drink and your deep sleep just crashes.
Just recovery and everything is just gone.
Yeah.
It's like you're very sick. And you drink poison. So since then, I've been like, I ain't touching any of that
The
stuff.
best sleep I ever had was last summer, and I remember it clearly. I didn't spend any time on my phone. At night, I ate a normal meal. I didn't stay inside. I went outside by a fire pit, looked at the fire, talked with friends, went to bed. I was dead for 10 hours. It was the best sleep I ever had. And it was all just normal human things that we did 10,000 years ago.
Man.
I'd be curious though to see what
life
those
back
like the
then.
stats are between Europe, like Italy, where they drink wine with every meal, versus here, like their Alzheimer rates and dementia rates. If it's the alcohol or if it's all the other.
Well, they don't have the
Yeah,
crap in
maybe
their
it's-
food.
maybe it's the garbage.
But they don't have the crap in the food like
Exactly,
we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have about 10,000 chemicals, chemical additives, and they only about 400 to 410 over in EU. So we got a lot more than them. A lot more slop in our stuff.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.